We'd like to welcome everybody out to this new episode of Surprise, We Both Love Movies. In this episode, we're going to be reviewing Honest Thief, starring Liam Neeson and Kate Walsh. This is a brand new movie just released in theaters this past week, and this was something I had heard about a while back. I saw one trailer on YouTube about 6 months ago, and then dead silence. Didn't even know this was getting released. This movie is about an individual. He's an ex-Marine who for the past 10 to 15 years had robbed a number of banks. He meets a girl, falls in love with her, and wants to come clean to the FBI so that he can serve minimal time so he can spend the rest of his life with this individual. And that's the basic plot of the movie. We'll get into a little bit more. The FBI gets involved and things kind of go haywire, and we'll get into that today. Lamont, what were some of your thoughts on this movie?
All right, so when you go into see a Liam Neeson movie, you kind of know what you're kind of going to get. His movies are a little bit formulaic, and some are better than others. In this case, this was a average at best Liam Neeson movie. Now, there's nothing wrong with Liam Neeson movies. You're going to be entertained, good drama, an interesting story, and you're going to leave the theater thinking, you know what, that was a good time. I was able to escape what was going on in my life. And I could do that again. But now, when you told me about this movie, Aaron was very excited about this movie after he saw it, because he saw it first.
Yep.
And then I saw it. And so
Absolutely.
He had some pretty exciting reviews of what this movie is. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what you thought of this movie?
I thought this movie was fantastic. It's my second favorite movie of the year. My only complaints with this movie is, number one, it was too short. It was only an hour and a half. And number two, the villain was a paint-by-numbers villain. All right. Everything else revolving around this, though, is this. You're right. This is different from Liam Neeson's other films, because this is a more down-to-earth, more realistic take on a character that you could actually see what happened in the film actually happen in real life. This wasn't a fantastic shoot 'em up, blow everything up. Well, some things blew up, but a massive blow up type movie. Now, this is funny because I'm glad you mentioned that it's an average at best movie, because I'll tell you that there are two movies that he released prior to this, the last two films he starred in, that way less memorable than this. All About a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, I saw The Commuter. I remember absolutely nothing about that movie. Nothing.
What?
Yeah. It definitely did not leave an impression on me. I was actually having back problems laid up, and I watched the movie, and I don't remember anything. Like, it did not leave an impact. The other film prior to that was a movie called Run All Night.
Okay.
Run All Night is one that I actually own, and it's good.
Yeah.
But that's more of your typical action thriller. This is not an action thriller. This is more of like I said, it's more down to earth and more real. This one left an impact on me. And I think that the characters behaved the way real people would in real life. It wasn't an exciting, over-the-top film. And what's really funny is he said, I want to say it was about a year ago, Liam Neeson said after The Commuter, he was absolutely done doing action films.
Wow.
That he was done.
Wow.
That's when I saw this trailer, and this is the reason why this trailer left an impact on me, too, when I saw it 6 months ago, because I'm like, wait a minute. He said he was done doing action movies. Right. And not only that, but you go see this movie, and there's a trailer for another movie coming out with him in an action role.
Gotcha. See, for me, it's hands down, The Commuter was better than this, and Run All Night was better than this, and this came in third. And I know what you're saying. You're like, well, you felt like it was realistic. To put that in perspective, there's a scene where someone in the government, or not a scene, but there's a situation where someone in the government gets killed. And in reality, if you killed a government agent or someone who was connected like that, the weight of the world would be on you. And literally, he's having a conversation with somebody who's in the bureau or in the bureau and just calling him up on his cell phone. And I was like, that would never happen. There'd be 10 guys waiting around the phone, tracing the call to figure out where this guy is. And it was very intimate. It was very intimate,
yes,
happened in a bubble is what I would say.
You're right. And that's what I liked about this movie. It wasn't a grand film. It was a more personal film. But you're right. There were some things that I noticed, like, for instance, when he called up to the hospital to get some information on a patient,
Right.
there's HIPAA laws. They would never give that information over the phone, okay?
Right.
But does that take away from the way the characters behaved and the way they interacted with each other? No. I thought the interactions were very genuine. I thought you actually felt for these people. Robert Patrick.
Wait. But what about the love? So here's like you said, the premise of the story is, hey, you know what? He's been robbing banks, and now he has an opportunity. He's met this woman, and their flirtation or their courtship was what, like 5 minutes in the movie, and they were in love. Like,
yes,
it was.
I told you the movie was too short. That was the fault in the movie, is it was too short. But when they first met at the storage unit, that was a really cool scene. It was a
good scene. I'll give you that.
They did stuff in this movie you haven't seen in other movies. It didn't go the way you would expect it to go in other movies. It was more down to earth, and I like that. There's a scene shortly after the FBI agent gets killed, and he's on the run with his girlfriend, and they end up talking in a park. And I thought, yeah, you know what? In real life, somebody would have to stop. Yeah. They'd have to assess what's going on, and there was some real dialogue in there. And that's what made this movie interesting. It's not an action film by any means. No. And you actually feel for him and his girlfriend. And there's also another FBI agent that worked with Robert Patrick that it's kind of funny at the beginning. They show him sitting in a truck and he's just not having a good day.
No, he was.
And he was the most interesting character in the movie. And he had some good interactions throughout the film. He's not an actor that I've seen him before, but I don't even know what his name is. Mm-hmm. And then the only other big name I'd say we saw in this was Kai Courtney, who plays the villain, and he's the worst part of the film. I mean, he had a partner in the film that had a much better acting job than he did. He was your typical bad guy villain, and he's not memorable. Every movie he's in, he's not memorable. Before we got on, I was mentioning to you, he's been in a Terminator film. He's been in a Die Hard movie. He's been in one of the DC films as Captain Boomerang. And he was also in Jack Reacher. Mm-hmm. Nobody remembers.
Nobody.
Right?
I've seen all
he
those
does
movies.
not do memorable roles. I don't know why he got... If they took him out and put something more meaningful in there, this movie would have been dang near perfect in my eyes.
Yeah, if they had put like a character actor in there, at least that would have brought some extra, an extra dynamic to the movie, I think. But he's just kind of cookie cutter-ish. And actually, the woman who played Liam Neeson's girlfriend, her name's Kate Walsh. She has an Arizona connection. She actually grew up in Tucson.
Oh, very nice.
She went to the University of Arizona before she decided to fly the coop and go to New York and find her artistic ways. So there's a little AZ connection for all of our Arizona fans here. And I thought that was cool to know because she's been in a lot of other television and movies. So Arizona connection.
So, all right. So I'm going to give my review and then we'll see what your review is on this. So as a movie, I give this a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think anybody's going to walk away thinking they got taken.
No, but a 9 out of 10?
Yeah, 9 out of 10. Simply because it's a movie we haven't seen before. There were things that they did in this movie that have never been done in movies before. It was more down to earth. It was more realistic. They didn't go full on Hollywood special effect crazy, nuts with this. They actually kept it more intimate, and I actually enjoyed that. It's nice to see that they can make an action movie with a little bit of brains behind it, and it's not just mindless action. And that's something we don't get enough of. It's just the movie was too freaking short. And so that's, like I said, the villain and the shortness is my only real complaint. As a movie with deep meaning, as a film score, no. I'd have to put it at a 3 or a 4. You're just not going to get any deep meaning out of it. But I'm happy with it. It is something that, with what we've had to deal with this year, it was nice to go to the movies and actually see something good worth going to see.
Right. All right. For me, now, I'll agree with you. It was nice to go to the movies. I've been to the movies like 2 times this year. It's okay to go to the movies. I think there's probably like 5 people in the whole theater with me.
Wow.
There wasn't that much. If you go in the daytime, it's still safe. But for this movie, for a score, I debated on whether it was a 6 or a 7, and I went with 7. It was a solid movie. If you go, you're not going to feel jaded or gypped.
No.
You're going to be entertained for an hour and a half, and you're going to have a good time for the most part. Is there any deeper meaning? Does it require a film score? No, there's no film score associated with this. But if you haven't gone to the movies in a while and you want to get out and you want to just see something that's just going to, keep your mind busy, you'll have a decent time. So other than that, yeah, that's my take on Honest Thief.
So that's all we have for this week. I'm Aaron Fisher.
And I'm Lamont Lovejoy.
We'll see you guys next time.